college students right here at BSU. Now I want to just focus on this for a minute because here in Maryland, you understand how important education is to our economy, how important it is to our future. Martin O'Malley knows that too. His opponent raised college tuition in this state by 40% when he was in charge. This is at a time when the economy was doing better. Now, even in the toughest of times over the last 2 years, Martin O'Malley froze in-state tuition. So he kept the cost of this school and other schools affordable for Maryland's families. And thanks to his unprecedented investment in Maryland's education, as I said before, you've been ranked the best when it comes to public schools the last 2 years in a row. That's what Martin O'Malley does. He walks the walk, doesn't just talk the talk. Now, but we can't maintain this progress if our opponents have their way. At a time when the education of our country's citizens is one of the biggest predictors of economic success, they think it's more important to give another tax breaks to folks who don't need them and weren't even asking for them than to invest in our young people. Let me ask you, I want to ask my Republican friends a question here. Do you think China's cutting back on education right now? You think South Korea is making it harder for its citizens to get a college education? Those countries aren't playing for second place. And guess what? United States does not play for second place. We play for first place. We're going to make investments in you. As long as I am president, and as long as Martin O'Malley is your governor, we will not allow politicians in Washington or Annapolis sacrifice your education for tax cuts we can't afford. That is the choice in this election. Martin, me, Barbara, Steady, the rest of the folks up on this stage, we've got a different idea about what the next 2 years should look like. And it's an idea rooted in our belief about how this country was built. We know government doesn't have all the answers to our problems. We don't believe the government's main role is to create jobs or prosperity. We think government should be lean. We think it should be efficient. That's why Martin actually cut spending by $5 billion. He's reduced the size of government in this state. That's why I've proposed a 3-year freeze and set up a bipartisan fiscal commission to deal with our deficit. But what we also understand, in the words of the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, is that government should do for the people what they cannot do better for themselves. I think we might have had somebody faint down here, so if we got the paramedics right here up front, everybody's pointing at them. Now, they'll be all right. Just make sure that you give them some space. And if somebody has a bottle of water, you might want to get it to them. Look, we believe in a country that rewards hard work and responsibility. We believe in a country where we look after one another, where we say, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. That's the America I know. That's the America Martin cares about. That's the choice in this election. Instead of tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires, we want to make permanent the tax cuts we gave to middle-class Americans, because you deserve a break. Instead of the other side's plan to keep tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas, we want to give tax breaks to companies that invest right here in the United States of America, to small businesses, American manufacturers, American clean energy companies. I don't want solar panels and wind turbines and electric cars built in Asia or built in Europe. I want them made right here in the United States of America by American workers. Instead of cutting education, cutting student aid, we want to make permanent our new college tax credit. There's a credit worth $10,000 in tuition relief for every young person going to 4 years of college. That means you, Bowie State. We will fight to keep the reforms we've made to the student loan system. Thanks to those reforms, tens of billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that would have gone to big banks are now going to where they should, to students like you. If the other side wins, they'll try their hardest to give free rein back to the insurance companies and the credit card companies and the Wall Street banks that we're finally holding accountable. We can't let them do that. We can't go back to the days of taxpayer-funded bailouts or when credit card companies could just jack up your rates without reason. We can't go back to the days when insurance companies could just drop your coverage because you're sick. We've got to keep in place the new law that says if you're out there looking for a job or have one that don't offer you coverage, you should be able to stay on your parents' insurance policy until you're 26 years old. That's the choice in this election. That's what's at stake right now. So, Maryland, it comes down to this. A lot of folks running in the other party, these are the exact same people who spent the last decade driving this economy into a ditch. And so, for the last 20 months, me and Martin and Steny and Barbara and all these folks, we have gotten down into the ditch, put on our boots. We're down there, it's hot. We were sweating. Bugs everywhere. We're down there pushing on the car. Every once in a while we look up and see the Republicans standing there. They're just standing there fanning themselves, sipping on a Slurpee. And we'd say, come on down and help. They say, no, that's all right. So they say, you're not pushing the right way. You got to push faster. And we just kept on pushing and pushing. And finally, we got this car up on level ground. Finally, we got it up on level ground. Now, this car is a little beat up now because they drove it into the ditch. It's got some dents. Needs a tune-up. But it's pointing in the right direction. We want to start back on that road to prosperity, but suddenly we feel this tap on our shoulder. We look back, who is it? It's the Republicans. And they say, we want the keys back. And we got to tell them, you can't have the keys back because you don't know how to drive. You don't know how to drive. We'll give you a ride if you want, but you got to sit in the back seat. We'll take you to prosperity, but you got to sit in the back seat because you don't know how to drive. Have you ever noticed when you get in your car, if you want to go forward, what do? You got to put it in D. If you want to go backwards, what do? You put it in R. That is not a coincidence. We don't want to go backwards. But it's up to you to make sure they don't get the keys back. See, the other side sees a chance to get back in the driver's seat. And by the way, thanks to a recent Supreme Court decision, they are being helped this year like we've never seen before by special interest groups that are spending unlimited amounts of money on attack ads. And they don't disclose who's behind them. Because of the Supreme Court law, they don't have to disclose who's behind it. It could be the oil companies, could be the insurance industry, could be Wall Street. You don't know. Their lips are sealed. The floodgates are open, though. And almost every one of these independent organizations is run by Republican operatives. They're posing as nonprofit, non-political groups. They've got names like Americans for Prosperity, or the Committee for Truth in Politics, or Moms for Motherhood. Actually, the last one I made up. But you'd think There was a recent report that in recent weeks, conservative groups like this have outspent Democratic groups by 7-1. All right, somebody, there's another one up here, got a little hot. Let him sit down. Let him sit down. All right, we got another bottle of water. If we can get another bottle of water up here and a medic up here. Now, I want to remember next time you guys come out here, make sure you drink something and eat something before you're standing here, especially when you got a bunch of politicians talking. But I want you to understand this because this is important. It is estimated that Democratic groups are being outspent 7-1. In Indiana's Senate race, it's nearly 6-1. In a House race there, a conservative group has spent nearly as much as both parties combined. In Colorado, they're outspending the Democratic Party nearly 2-1. In Missouri, Republican Senate Committee hasn't spent a dime, but outside groups have dropped $2 million of negative ads to help the Republican candidate. Just this week, we learned that one of the largest groups paying for these ads regularly takes in money from foreign corporations. So groups that receive foreign money are spending huge sums to influence American elections. And they won't tell you where the money for their ads come from. So this isn't just a threat to Democrats. All Republicans should be concerned. Independents should be concerned. This is a threat to our democracy. The American people deserve to know who's trying to sway their elections. And if we just stand by and allow the special interests to silence anybody who's got the guts to stand up to them, our country is going to be a very different place. So here's the bottom line. We're going to need to work even harder in this election. We're going to need to fight their millions of dollars with millions of voices. Everybody here who's ready to finish what we started in 2008. Because if everybody who fought for change in 2008 shows up on November 2nd, I am absolutely confident we will win. What the other side is counting on, is that this time around you're going to stay home. They're counting on your silence. They're counting on amnesia. They're counting on your apathy, especially the young people here. They don't believe you are going to come out and vote. They figure Obama's not on the ballot, you're not going to come out and vote. Maryland, you've got to prove them wrong. Let's show Washington one more time. Change doesn't come from the top. It doesn't come from millions of dollars of tax ads funded by special interests. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens because of you. So I know times are tough. And I know we're a long way from the hope and the excitement we all felt on election night and inauguration day. But we always knew this was going to take time. We always knew it was going to be hard. I said it was going to be hard. Change has always been hard. From the first days of our nation. Every time Americans have tried to bring about real meaningful change, we face setbacks and disappointments. From the founding of this country, George Washington experienced setbacks and disappointments. We've had to face fear and doubt. Harriet Tubman had fear and doubt. But as Americans, we have always moved forward. We have always kept fighting. We've always remembered that in the United States of America, our destiny is not written for us, it is written by us. That's how we got through war. That's how we got through depression. That's what civil rights workers understood. That's how we got women's rights and workers' rights. And that's what's being tested right now. And if we've got the courage to keep moving forward, even in the face of difficulty, even in the face of uncertainty, I guarantee you, if all of you are out there knocking on doors and making phone calls and voting for Martin O'Malley and Barbara Mikulski and the rest of the Democratic ticket, then we are not just going to